Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Frugalnauts live stream. We are looking at a number of things today, so welcome to the channel. Obviously, we're going to be talking about Algorand price plummeting after the news of the my algo hacks. We've been talking about that on the channel, made plenty of videos about that, but we're going to talk a little bit about that today, as well as looking at the ASA charts. There was some action there, particularly with Cosmic Champs and Cosmic Gold. So we also covered that during the week, but we'll talk a little bit about that. But the big news today is US dollar coin being depegged. This is pretty unprecedented how this happened. And this is all tied into the SVB, the Silicon Valley Bank, collapsing this week. Pretty recent, actually. I believe it was over Friday, Saturday. So pretty crazy. And then we're going to look at Borderless Capital proposing a reimbursement fund for the My Algo hacks and the community not having it. That's really interesting. Also, HBAR had its own hack. We covered that a little bit. We're going to talk about that in a little more detail, not quite the same extent, but also it highlights two different approaches to how to manage one of these hacks, a centralized approach and a decentralized approach. So we will look at that. Coinbase developing a new wallet as a service, what that's going to mean for Web3 companies. It's a pretty big announcement at a pretty bad time. So we'll talk about that. Blur locking up 84% of the Ethereum NFT market. That is something else. So we'll talk a little more about that and some news on Townstar and their new conversion from Town to Gala. The service is live, but there are a few issues with it. So we'll talk about that. As always, feel free to bring up any questions and comments or any other news items you want to talk about on the chat. I try to bring you up and talk about, just kind of talk about it as they come. So if you have any questions for me, leave it in the comments. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. We're trying to grow our base. Really want to get to 4,000 or 5,000 by the end of the year. That is my goal for subscribers, and I want to be able to show you all the stuff we do. This week, if you were a subscriber, you would have seen all of my algo hack videos. I did 3 of them because that's when news breaks. That's when I go to work. That's when I go into action. And I wanted to bring you coverage of this because it was so important. And Monday night I was at the end of basically an 11-hour day already. I'd already made a video for YouTube. I'd already done my day job, and when news of it broke, I had to get back on the computer. I'd dig up some information and I had to put it out to you. And we learned a lot overnight. I made sure I got a video for how to peg algo. Yeah, and Christian Cassini in the chat says, and I thought this weekend was going to be relaxing. Yep, nope, sure hasn't. Definitely not relaxing. That was really important to me, is to bring you that coverage. And we learned a lot, when I put out the video about ParaWallet not having support for rekeying to a standard wallet on Android. That was a big deal, and they fixed it. So we're glad they fixed it. I was able to bring you that news, and I wouldn't have known that. Maybe some of you wouldn't have known that unless we had the opportunity to look into. So also we have an account on NifGen. I don't have the link in my description. I think I forgot to copy and paste my general descriptions in there, but it's in my other videos if you go look. And we do like a portfolio breakdown where I go through all my DeFi and stuff like that. And one fee gets you subscription to all of the content. $9 per month subscription gets you access to my content, to JT's, to C-Will, to Crypto for Change, to Coops, Adam Bergman, all those guys, all your favorite Algorand creators, all in one spot. But we got some pretty serious stuff to talk about. So, yep, that's right, Catlin. Twitter might buy it. We've heard that as well. Let's look at. Well, let's go to Vestige. You can see right behind me here that the price has been dropping down. Really fell pretty low, almost 18 cents before popping up. It's a little below 19 cents. Now let me share my screen and show you guys what is going on here. Yeah, we are definitely going to get into that USDC news as well as the SVB news, excuse me. Let's see. So no shockers on here right now, but the big shocker, I'm gonna skip to this. I covered this on my channel, but if you guys didn't see it, Cosmic Gold. Here's what happened with Cosmic Gold. One of the whales. So I did misreport this originally. I thought it was one of Cosmic Gold's wallets, but it actually was. It was a wallet of a big whale that held a lot of Cosmic Gold. Someone hacked it and then dumped it on the market, and you can see it's actually really fallen. It was less than this before. It is at 0.0006 cents. Let's see. You can see some of the big candles here. In fact, let me see if I can move the chart here. We'll go to the 4-hour chart. Oh, yeah, here's the drop. I mean, that's pretty big. Okay, so basically, this guy dumped like a ton of algo, dropped the price in half, and then a lot of people followed suit, and it just dropped to next to nothing. And then what they did is they actually took down they just removed the liquidity, and like Cosmic Gold is done. They're going to come out with a new version. They took a snapshot of all the wallets, so you'll be reimbursed with all those Cosmic Gold. You'll get the new version, but some people after that were trying to buy the dip, as you can see, because the price went up a little bit. And anyone who tried to buy the dip, you just wasted your money, because that Cosmic Gold is not even going to be redeemable for 1-to-1. It's dead. So if you bought Cosmic Gold in that time, sorry for you, but you're not getting any Cosmic. But that was one of the crazier. That was one of the crazier stories that happened. Let's take a look at Algo here. Here we go. So one of the things that kind of surprised me is I thought with the hacks that happened, I really thought Algo was going to fall a lot more than it did. And we'll look at it comparatively. It definitely had an impact. I don't think you could argue that it didn't, but everything's been falling. Algorand's hasn't fallen the most out of the top 100, but it fell a lot. You can see it's just been going steadily down. Like here's kind of right in the middle of things right there, that huge drop. And so, it's been it's not been good. It's definitely hurt sentiment in Algorand. Algorand has already not really been much of a price mover. I like it for the ecosystem. I don't really like it for the price action. It's not the coin I own for price. Before I go too deep into Algo, let's look at some of the coins, because this has changed. So yeah. Otherwise, nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy in this top 100. This top 10 here. The only difference is, Cosmic Gold just like completely disappearing from here. And I can't remember how I even found that out, but it is gone. Otherwise, everything else kind of holding stable. That was the big news from the ASAs. But a lot of projects actually got hit from it. So let's look at CoinMarketCap here. This will just take a second to load. So Bitcoin is up around 20,500. It actually was down into at least the 19,000 range. It might have even been a little bit lower. Ethereum actually breaking that 1,500 mark. All of them were down a little bit. You kind of see, I pointed this out before. You've all seen this before, but the big news, the big news, US dollar coin. When I checked it this morning, it was at 91 cents. I think it's been as low as, actually it's been really low. We're going to cover this in more detail a little later on, but let's just take a look at that for a second. Is this the daily? It's going to give me the daily first. Yeah. And that's our 7-day. Okay, cool. Yeah, it was down into 88 cents, just a little above 88 cents at one point. Been trying to climb its way back up, but still short of the mark. Some discussion about whether you have a little bit of an arbitrage. I don't know if you'd call it an arbitrage, just to buy the dip opportunity, I guess, but it's very worrying. The US dollar coin was owned by Circle. Circle had a ton of money into Silicon Valley Bank, which just collapsed. literally, I think it happened either Friday or Saturday. We're going to take a deeper dive into that. But I want to go back through the regular charts here. If you look at the 7-day, everything's fallen a little bit, but most of them are in the single digit, close to 10%. Solana fell a little more, Tron a little more. Litecoin had a bad week, 22% down. I don't think Algorand's that bad, but a lot of them are in the single digits. Ethereum Classic, not so much. OKB is like 20%. Little Dow, I think it's recovered a bit because I think it was a lot worse, around 16. Yeah, HBAR, down below that 6 cents mark, but only 10% down, near about 13%. And Algorand dropped all the way to 40th in the market cap. It was 39 when I checked this morning. It was sitting around 37, 38, and 16%. So not the worst. I'm actually surprised, given everything that happened with Algorand this week, that it wasn't worse. But it is falling. It is falling in market cap. So getting out of the top 40, that's rough. I know it was a little sad when we missed the top 30, and we were at 27, 28 for a long time when I used to first start doing these live streams. So we've fallen more than 10 places. We've fallen out of the top 30 and then out of the top 40. It's kind of going the wrong direction for Algorand, but we'll see what happens. I know some people are saying, this is the end for Algorand. I don't think that's the case, but it's not, I don't think it's going to do great either. And hopefully people will keep building on it. Let's see. Millennial Wealth says AlgoFi lend invest rate skyrocketed for USDT. Yeah, that's really interesting. And actually, the funny thing is US Tether was actually not affected. But I did want to point out US dollar coin, the Algorand version, USDCA, actually was affected by this. So yeah, remember to leave any comments in the chat, any questions you have while we go through this. But let's move on. Let's move on to US. Yeah. So big news. I'm going to set this up a little so I can also, clip this from my shorts. But US dollar coin depegged. It is off the dollar. We've seen that with other ones, as is DAI. Nobody's talking about DAI for some reason, but DAI also depegged. US Tether apparently did not, and the reason USDC depegged is that it is created by Circle. Circle had a major amount of money with Silicon Valley Bank. Silicon Valley Bank collapsed, as we know, and that has knocked the price out, as we just saw. So I think this is a really good breakdown. So let's take a look at this. Okay, so here's what we know. USDC and DAI depeg. Crypto firm Circle reveals 3.3 billion stuck in SVP. So that's what I was just talking about, that they have major exposure to Silicon Valley Bank. DAI USDC depeg as stablecoin pressure continues after Silicon Valley Bank collapse. Now, Binance and Coinbase both suspended USDC conversions to USDC. Apparently, or USD, excuse me. They are going to re-release these. At least Coinbase is going to allow it again on Monday when the banks are open. The main thing was that the banks are closed over the weekend, and so they would come in Monday with this huge backlog of conversions. So besides Circle, BlockFi, and Avalanche were also hurt in this. Circle's USDC redemptions reaches 2.5 billion in 24 hours. That is a lot of billion. Exchange inflow 7 billion. On Saturday, March 11th, during Asian afternoon hours, DAI, the decentralized stablecoin of MakerDAO, revealed its lowest value ever of 88 cents, which, as we saw, USDC also hit that. Now, it is working its way back up, so we will see. I think a lot of people are probably thinking that it might be a buy the dip opportunity. Nick Carter says the crackdown is operating choke point 2.0, a remnant from the Obama era Justice Department policy. 12 days ago, Gregory Becker, the CEO of Silicon Valley Bank, sold 11% of his shares. Well, that's interesting. And Tether stablecoin USDT surged momentarily on news. Otherwise, it is unaffected by SVP. Oh, I see. They're saying on the news it was unaffected. So very, very interesting. And I think it's interesting that we don't see now. I do want to point out that during the Great Recession, during the financial crash, there were a couple banks that were allowed to collapse before the government stepped in, but it seems like but still, they did prevent a crisis by stepping in, by bailing out some of these banks. It doesn't appear that is going to be the case for SVB. Apparently, this is. I don't want to be too conspiratorial, but given the government's generally anti-crypto stance that we've seen for the most part, kind of interesting that they're happy to just sort of stay by their side of the road and let this collapse happen. So I think that's really interesting. Let's see what you guys have to say, if anything. Christian says, "What is going to be?" I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit scary. It seems like we just keep getting hit with more and more bad crypto news as we go. So it's a little bit frightening. Speaking of which, we had the algo hacks this week, and I know I just talked a lot about that. So I'll give you a really brief summary. We're going to go into this idea of proposing a reimbursement fund and how it actually wasn't well received, which kind of surprised me. But if you didn't watch all the videos that I made this week on the situation, basically, so a few weeks ago there was a hack on the MyAlgo wallet. They were able to take, I think it was like 3 accounts. It was a 13 million algo total. It seemed to be a couple whales, and then nothing happened. So I think everyone, and including myself, just kind of thought, well, I guess that's that. It also didn't seem like they were doing much with the algo they took. So I think a lot of people, including myself, just kind of thought, well, it seems to be over. And then Monday night, all of a sudden I'm seeing all these reports of people saying that their wallets are drained. And I kind of couldn't believe it. I was floored. So I started looking into it, and it very quickly realized that I need to make a video. I have to make a video on this. I can't not tell people what's going on. It's too important. And besides that, there's actually action you need to take. So if you had a MyAlgo wallet, and by the way, if you have not still done this, if you have an account that was on a MyAlgo wallet, make sure that you either rekey it to another wallet on a different platform like Para or DeFi. You can find out the Para one. You can watch my first video on the MyAlgo hack will tell you how to do that. Or you can look at their accounts, MyAlgo, Para, or DeFi. Or you can create an entirely new account and transfer the algo. But again, that new account, don't make it on MyAlgo. Basically anything, just don't do anything with MyAlgo ever again. And the third option is to simply rekey it to a ledger. So you can buy a ledger. I do have them in my description. I don't have that description in this one, but I do in the others. And you can buy the ledger, rekey to that, and that will keep you safe. But what appeared to happen, it was almost 1,500 wallets that were hacked. And weirdly, it seemed to be systematic. So someone did some on-chain analysis that I highlighted in my last video. But it basically went through, and so we don't really know how it was targeted. That we don't know. We know all this information came from MyAlgo, but it seemed to systematically go from wallets with the most algo to wallets with the least algo. But again, it didn't get everybody. In fact, it got a pretty small percentage of the Algorand population. So I don't know we don't know yet how they did the targeting, why those particular accounts versus others. We just know that they systematically, in two rounds, basically systematically went from highest to lowest. Very strange. And then there's been a lot of hubbub since about what this will do to the chain. Some people think it'll have no effect. Some people think it's the end of algo. I personally think it's somewhere in between. I mean, you're definitely sending people away. when people don't think that the wallet is going to be safe, that's when that's a hard pill to swallow. Yeah. Even if there are other wallets available, if I was interested in getting into ADA and I heard one of the wallets got hacked, that makes me less interested to go to ADA. That being, and some people think that there's a good chance a lot of project developers are also going to think about that and think, maybe not even jumping chains, but maybe I at least need to have exposure to another chain. And as investors, I think you should have exposure to a number of chains. I don't think you should just be on Algorand. In fact, I've been diversifying this channel as my personal investments in crypto, and it always was somewhat diversified, but I've actually made a stronger push to diversify more, just because I don't want to be stuck on one chain and have something happen with the chain where it's near catastrophic. I don't think this is going to be catastrophic here, but it's definitely going to have an impact. And I think the price reflects that it has at least had some kind of a chilling impact. I know everything's falling, but Algorand's dropped down to 40th place. Isn't going the other way. We just keep seeing it fall more and more. So speaking of that, and yeah, Christian says one of the strongest. Well, I'm gonna come back to that because I want to recover. I want to cover this recovery fund. So, friend of the channel, Will, who is also a NIFGen member, and you can learn more from the Discord too, by the way, and the NIFGen. I highly recommend that. But friend of the channel, Will, he is one of the members of the Next Block. Made friends with him at Decipher. He put, should the Algorand Foundation and Bordeaux Capital create a $50 million algo recovery fund to help victims of the MyAlgo hack? I agreed with what IRL.algo, another NIFGen member, I think, right, said. Another Algorand creator, she said, this I'm sure she meant this is premature, in my opinion. Let's know what happened, know it's over, and then talk about it. I said spot on. I agree with you. D13 says, nothing has changed since this. You may mean well, but you are distracting from the immediate concerns by demanding immediate emergency action for what needs to be a long-term, well-thought-out response. Even if we all agree delivering this technically is not straightforward. Yeah, I think there's a lot we need to know yet. So that on-chain analysis I mentioned, they weren't 100% sure what, that those were all hacked wallets. It's just that all those wallets went from a bunch of stuff in one, transferring it all to the other, and then that one just kind of dumping stuff. So let's see what Christian has to say. Christian is the CEO of NIFGen. He says one of the strongest arguments against a recovery fund is how can you prove that a victim is actually a victim and not someone just moving money around? And I kind of wondered about that too, because we believe it's around 1,500 wallets that were hacked, but I don't know how many of those were just simply moving their stuff to a new account, because not everyone rekeyed. Some people move stuff to another account. It's kind of hard to know. I think until we have like really definitive evidence of that, these are the accounts, these are the people that had their stuff hacked, it's tough to do. It's the right thought. I think it's good that they thought about that, but yeah, I think it's a little too soon. All right, hold on a second. Sorry, I just needed a little water there. All right, let's start clearing out some tabs. By the way, have you noticed the sound and video is a lot better? It seems like when I watched the replay, it seemed a lot better. Okay. So it wasn't just Algorand that had its own hack. HBAR had its own hack, and it was a little bit different. It wasn't wallet hacks. It was through the protocols, through a smart contract exploit, and a very different response from Algorand. More of a centralized response than a decentralized response. So we'll talk about that, but let's take a look here. This is right from Hedera, by the way. Today, attackers exploited this, and this is from the 9th. So is that Thursday? Yeah, Thursday. Okay. Today, hackers exploited the smart contract service code of the Hedera mainnet to transfer Hedera token service tokens held by victims' account to their own account. The attacker targeted accounts such as liquidity pools and multiple dexes that use Uniswap v2 derived contract code ported to use the Hedera token service, including Pangolin, Saucer Swap, and Healy Swap. When the attackers moved tokens obtained through these attacks over the Hedera network, Hashport network bridge, the bridge operators detected the activity and took swift action to disable it. The Hedera community, including Swirl Labs, HBAR Foundation, LimeChain, Pangolin, Saucer Swap, and Healy Swap teams worked together to investigate the attack to prevent the attacker from being able to steal more tokens. Hedera turned off the mainnet proxies, which removed user access to the mainnet. The team has identified the root cause of the issue and are working on a solution. Once the solution is ready, Hedera Council members will sign transactions to approve the deployment of updated code on mainnet to remove this vulnerability. And I'm gonna stop there because this is old and they have fixed it. Let's find that. Here's the main thing, yeah. Resolved. The Hedera mainnet has been upgraded to patch the vulnerability, and mainnet is now running and available. Details on the attack will soon be made available, and I don't know if they retweeted it, so I assume that is legit. This is Hedera mainnet is now available. Big thanks to the community for their help and patience during this time. So a couple little nuances here. One, they're saying that. So I came across this because all of a sudden HBAR people, Hedera people were saying they couldn't access their account. This is why there was an exploit through the smart contract system. And so there's a little bit of nuance going there. People are saying technically the mainnet wasn't down because they just disabled proxies, but others are saying, well, yeah, but if you can't use it, it's functionally down. Now, this is very interesting because what they took was a very centralized approach, right? On Algorand, there was no central figure to say, "Oh, we see an issue here. We need to stop it." But is that better? they may have prevented like a huge amount of theft that did happen on Algorand. So it kind of makes you wonder. And there's this debate, and I think there's always this assumption that decentralized is always better than centralized. And I think there's kind of a spectrum. First of all, I don't think it's either or. And I think sometimes there is a place for some centralized actions. Hedera seems to be a great example of that. They were able to stop a hack that Algorand was not able to. And you have to wonder, well, if I'm one of these big companies and I want to invest in a chain, am I going to invest in the one that has vulnerabilities and no one can stop it? Or do I want the one that can actually hit a switch and turn things off and stop the hack, right? I'm not saying I have super strong opinions, but I kind of wonder about these things. And like I said, I think it's a spectrum. It came up in a talk. I was on a panel with Kamada, and I asked them, well, what kind of vetting do you do for these coins? And they said, well, there is no vetting. It's decentralized. I'm like, so you could, who knows what you're actually putting your money into when you invest in one of these ASAs? It could be, just absolute nonsense. So maybe a little bit of, I like the idea of being a little less centralized than the banks, because I like it being a little more permissionless. But at the same time, I think it's not a bad thing to have something in place to stop bad actors. That's my thought on HBAR and the whole centralized, decentralized. Let's see. Francisco says he moved everything to a new wallet because it was easier. Was it though? That's kind of a good point, because that's a good point to bring up. Now I rekeyed it, and the rekey is actually really, really easy. Probably it's far easier than moving to a new wallet. But a very important but, I've noticed a lot of the protocols that I used to interact with are much more difficult. Like Humble Labs or Humble Swap, I can't use with my Para rekeyed. It just won't work. It's very frustrating. Cometa was buggy, but I got it to work eventually. Let's see what else. Some of it's just like even logging into Fractal Labs used to be like pretty easy. Now it's a lot more steps, but it works fine. It's just more steps because of the process. So I don't know. I don't. It's kind of a horse apiece. I can see what you mean. I can. As soon as projects start to move big money, the attacks begin. The attacks to Algorand and Hedera reminds me of the attacks to Harmony One. I didn't follow Harmony One, so I'm not sure on that particular account. But yeah, yeah, it's interesting. A lot of big because both of them had pretty big announcements right before the hacks, which is kind of interesting. Okay, let's see what else we got. Oh yeah, so Coinbase is launching a new wallet as a service. So basically a way for a lot of companies to seamlessly onboard themselves to the web and their users to Web3. Let's take a look at this. Coinbase expands its Web3 business solutions so any company can build fully customizable on-chain wallets for their customers. So this is really interesting because this could be really huge. Let's see. Web3 presents a wealth of opportunities. It allows brands to create rich, blah, 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 blah. Personal digital assets, NFTs. Retailers can provide personalized shopping and on-chain loyalty programs, while social companies can build stronger communities with creators and viewers by engaging in Web3. Companies can create new revenue streams, strengthen user engagement, encourage reward redemption across participating businesses. However, it's really, really hard because Web3 wallets are complex. So Coinbase is solving the problem for the industry with wallet as a service, WAAS, like SaaS, but with a W. WAS is a scalable and secure set of wallet infrastructure APIs enabling companies to create and deploy fully customizable on-chain wallets to their end users. Companies can offer their users wallets directly in their apps with onboarding as simple as a username and password. Interesting. Whether enabling gamers to trade in-game items in currency or creating new avenues for loyalty programs such as token-based rewards, WAS is a powerful tool for companies looking to tap into the potential of Web3. Now that is really interesting because I mean that could actually be a huge game changer because instead of having regular companies and crypto companies, you just created a really easy way for a regular company to add a crypto base to their platform, which means that changes the competitive landscape, right? Because anyone who's making the crypto version of XYZ company, well, XYZ company can be its own crypto version. That is really, really interesting. I'll be really curious to follow this and see like who actually uses this, how many companies adapt this, and whether they're going to want to. Right now, it's probably like the worst time to launch this, by the way, because crypto sentiment I think couldn't be worse than it is right now. But we'll get out of that. We will get out of that, and when we do, they'll be in a good. Coinbase will be in a good position. I think that's a really smart move to be able to make that into an easy to install API. How easy it will be, who knows? See what you guys got to say. Okay, got a lot of comments about the Coinbase thing, huh? I thought it was. I think it's a big deal, personally. But all right, now this one's a little more fun. So a little while ago, I brought up the Blur NFT platform and the token behind it. Why I thought it was actually a pretty good move. Now, like I said, I'm not telling you to buy anything. I'm just saying I actually included it in my portfolio of 8 coins to buy. I was going to put out part 2 last week, and then the Algorand wallet hacks happened, so that one's still on the to be recorded list. But the Blur, so now the Blur NFT marketplace apparently has captured 84% of the NFT market. And that means that OpenSea is a much, much smaller percentage of that. So let's take a look at that because I think this is really interesting. Blur NFT marketplace may have launched in October 2022, so it's not been around that long, but its track record since proves that the platform cares less about longevity. Also functioning as an aggregator, the marketplace has again demonstrated that it's not just resting on its oars. Okay. According to Dune Analytics, Blur accounts for over 80% of the total Ethereum NFT volume. That is crazy. Look at that chart. At press time, the blockchain query visualization platform revealed that the Blur's volume, writing is so bad on this site, that Blur's volume was as high as 4,119.82. What, ETH? Yeah, ETH. Okay. And this was far above OpenSea's figures at 1,000 ETH, thereabouts, while others, including LooksRare and X2Y2, had negligible sales compared to the top two. Yeah, so you can see OpenSea is the blue, and you can see Blur is the orange. And since about mid-February, it has just been dominating. I mean, it actually was. They were kind of going back and forth most of that time period, starting at December 8th. I mean, you can see them like where they were down on OpenSea a little bit, then they were up, but just ever since about mid-February, they've just been obliterating OpenSea. Let's read on a little more. Blur's quick rise to relevance at this time is not coincidental. A week ago, the marketplace grabbed a significant part of the NFT market share, overtaking the revered OpenSea. Here it is noteworthy to mention that Trump in the marketplace was also crucial. Trump to the board. Oh, Jesus Christ, dude! They gotta hire a copy editor, man. I'm not gonna read that. We'll just that's good. You get the idea. Yeah. I don't know what they're doing. I know the lack of fees is a big deal. The fact that you can buy it and you just don't pay any fees. How they make money, I have no idea. That's one caveat. But the reason I invested in the Blur token is like I think this marketplace is really taking a lot of it's a risky investment, but it's a small one. But I think this Blur marketplace is really taking off, and they've just stolen a ton of market share. They've surpassed OpenSea, and so it's a bet I'm going to make. I think there's a ton of potential upside, but we will see. All right, what we got here? Okay, got one more for you, and this is for my Townstar followers. But I think everyone should pay attention to this because so Townstar, which is made by Gala Games, the team behind it announced that they were going to be leaving town. So to back up, this is a play to earn game. Townstar is a play to earn game on the Gala blockchain. But in July, they turned off the earn function, and they're working on a new version of Townstar. The playtest is out for a small set of people, but they're going to open up possibly this week. They said possibly last week, so we'll see. But the big thing is that it used to earn via a new token called Town. They are getting rid of Town, and it's going to be all the earning is going to be in Gala. And they've been talking for a while about a conversion on the website where you can convert your Town to Gala. Well, that is live now. After about 3 weeks of delay, when they said they were going to put it out, it is now out. You can do it. However, by the way, no announcement about this. They didn't announce this anywhere. It just popped up on the website today. So, breaking news. You probably haven't heard it anywhere else, possibly, but it's out there. People have been converting their Town to Gala. The conversion rate is 1.25 Town to 1 Gala. So you get a little less Gala than you had Town. And they were saying 2 to 1. I think that means I still don't know I think they mean 2 tokens down to 1 token is what they were saying. That was really confusing the way they worded that. I don't know why they said it that way. Everyone knows town to, you're converting town to Gala. Okay, great, we get that. Now there's a problem with it because if you were earning town, you earn town on the Gala chain, which is different from the Geary chain, which is what they're going to. So in order to convert your Gala, you have to convert it to the ETH version, and that was not working for me today. So I wasn't able to convert my town to Gala. I hope they got that fixed because not working. But this is a big deal if you owned Townstar NFTs. The new Godot version launching means that the earn will be turned back on. It's in playtest right now. They're going to expand the playtest hopefully this week. They said it sounded like there's not many barriers to doing it. Like the main thing is like they were going to do like a new bigger batch of people, and they said, well, what if we just turn this on to everybody? Because the more people we get into this, the more bugs we can fix. And it sounds like the servers are handling the new version really, really well. So that's my Townstar video. I don't think I'm going to make a full Townstar video this week on that, but maybe we'll see. So if you had one of these NFTs, now you had to have the ETH version of the NFTs, and they will convert. You will be able to use them, and those earn. But anything that they've done new will not earn anything. So you got to keep that in mind. They also did away with the Gala Power thing, which I think was really annoying anyway. So if you have tokens, they will earn, and what they will earn is you basically get a certain share of like what they take in every day. So it's gonna really vary from day to day. It's gonna depend on the powers of your NFTs, their earning power, and the earning power is gonna stay the same. It changed a little for like the Mirandus Fox ones, I think, but the rest stay the same. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, so you can still buy some of those on OpenSea, by the way. I suppose probably Blur too. Imagine Blur has the Townstar NFTs as well. So you can buy them on there, and if you want, and you want to earn some, but I have no idea what the earnings is going to be like. I have no idea if it's going to be worth it. I know the NFTs are selling for way less than they did when I bought mine. The one I bought for like almost $300, you can buy for like $15 now. So yeah, joke's on me, right? It's kind of this is something I want to do a larger video on, but I'm starting to really have my doubts about play to earn gaming. Ideally it's supposed to be this. I think ideally it's like, oh, you can buy assets in game and they're yours forever. The company can't nerf them or make them worth less or make them do anything differently. And it's like this immutability. So you really, really own the thing. If you buy a gun in Fortnite, you really own the gun. Fortnite can't go, oh, you know what? It's a pea shooter now. It's like everything's locked on chain. But what it really seems to be is these companies are able to charge a whole lot of money to play basically mostly subpar games. Because let's be honest, what play to earn game is a AAA game right now? I mean, you just don't see many. And then you have companies like Gala Games where they have, what do they got? Like they're selling NFTs for like 10 games, and I think 2 of them are playable, maybe 3. It's a little bit frustrating. So it's something I'm thinking about. It's something I'm thinking about on play to earn games. And I was one of the biggest proponents of them. Not even just play to earn, but just NFTs in games in general. And I always thought, well, how could you be against that? It makes so much sense. But in theory, it does make sense. But the more I see it implemented, I don't know. It just doesn't seem to actually work out that way. It seems like you just end up paying a lot of money for games that aren't even as high as quality as like the AAA games you're getting on Xbox or PlayStation. Now, don't get me wrong. I like some of these games. I grew up in the NES Super NES era, so like I like those 8-bit, 16-bit style games. So I'm not necessarily hating on it, and I have no interest in playing like Call of Duty or any of those really super realistic looking games. Like I kind of like the old school style, but I also don't I want to pay like $100 to play a game. It's just so I can buy the NFTs for it. So I don't know. I'll probably do a longer video on that with a few more examples and stuff, but just kind of want to give my thoughts on that. So I think that's it for this week, unless you guys got Yeah, Caitlin says massive dilution on top of it. I'm not sure which part you're talking about exactly, but in Townstar, that's exactly what happened. So I can go into that a little bit. So you were earning Town Coin, but people were just you could buy things in Town Coin, but you could also buy them in Gala, and Gala was easier to get. So I think most people were just using Gala to buy things in Townstar, but people were using Town just to sell it. They were just making, they'd get like the NFTs that were enough to earn about $100 a day, and they'd make their $100 a day. They'd sell it, and so there was nothing but sell pressure. There was no buy pressure on these coins, and so eventually it just became worthless. It was trading at like a penny. When they announced that the earn was going to come back at some point soon, it started coming up. They were talking like January Godot version would be alive, and so would Town earning. And yeah, it went up a little bit, but now it's like, yeah, Town's just going to be gone. So that's that. I even watched a video on Splinterlands today, and it seemed like so complicated. What's the point? You know, God, and Splinterlands again. It was kind of fun. I played it. I still play it once in a while, but if I asked myself, would I like pay $20 on Steam for this game? No, I wouldn't. Same with a lot of blockchain games, and even most of the ones on Algorand. I hate to say it, but I kind of feel the same way. I do like Avatars a lot. I do think that's a really fun game. I like it because there's a lot of strategy involved. So, okay, well, I think that's a wrap for today's live stream. I want to thank everybody for coming on. Like I said, if you're new to the channel, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button and subscribing as well, you can see all our videos. I try to put out 2 or 3 a week plus the live stream. And remember, you don't have to smash the like button. You can just press it gently. Otherwise, thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you guys are doing well out there. These are crazy times for crypto. This is probably the craziest time frame we've had since I've been a channel on here. It's pretty much been. I think I've pretty much we've been in a bear market since I started my channel in 2021. I really didn't get into. It wasn't so much a crypto channel when I started. It really became a crypto channel later on, and so something to keep in mind. I think we pretty much were in a bearish market, and we're kind of on the downswing when I started this channel. So it'd be interesting to see what happens when we turn things around. But I think we're a little ways away from that yet. Good time to invest. I'm putting more money into some of these projects. I'm also putting money in the stocks. So I buy a lot of index funds. That's kind of my safety. And I try not to make recommendations, but I think that's a good idea. It's good to have a nice safe bucket of stuff that will just slowly go up over time. And then, play around with some fun stuff with crypto. Anyway, I'm Frugal BC, and hope you guys are doing well out there. Stay safe. Remember, if you had a MyAlgo wallet and you haven't rekeyed it or moved the account, you want to do so, because we thought it was over last time and then it came back. So you never know. There could be another hack. We just don't know. So, all right, take care easy, guys, and we'll see you in the future.